Do you ever look around at modern life and feel like you were born in the wrong century? Like you distinctly remember one world, but you're stuck living in another? If you were born in the early 80s, you know exactly what kind of weird in-between feeling I'm talking about. We're too young to be true Gen X, but we're too old to be actual millennials. By the time this video ends, you're going to understand why that transition left such a deep mark on us, and how to step out of the frantic modern pace and reclaim the quiet, grounded headspace we used to take for granted. We are the bridge generation. We grew up analog, and then we had to adapt to digital. Our childhoods were defined by imagination and a little bit of risk. Our adulthoods? It's notifications and constant, exhausting input. It's no wonder so many of us feel like aliens in our own century.
We're fluent in both worlds, but we aren't truly native to either one. We can vividly remember life before the internet, yet we work jobs today that couldn't function without it. We used to have pen pals. You'd write a letter by hand, drop it in a mailbox, and wait weeks for a response. Today, we get anxious if a text goes unanswered for 10 minutes. We've lived in both realities, and the whiplash between them shaped us in ways we're only now starting to understand. There's a particular kind of loneliness in being caught in the middle of two eras. The younger generation can't quite grasp what we've lost because they never experienced it. The older generation doesn't understand why we're so conflicted about the technology we adopted so readily. So we stand here in the middle, mourning a past that feels unreachable, while being overwhelmed by a present that moves too fast to ever fully process.
When freedom meant getting dirty. Let's look at how things used to be. I grew up in a world that didn't need Wi-Fi passwords. Summers smelled like freshly cut grass and bicycle grease. Your mom didn't text you to come home. She couldn't track your GPS coordinates. She just trusted you'd reappear when the streetlights flicked on. We learned about life through scraped knees, dumb decisions, and the kind of raw freedom that made you both fearless and a little bit humble. Now, everything feels optimized, safer, faster, more efficient, but also flatter. We traded real-world bruises and honest boredom for glowing screens and frictionless convenience. Somewhere in that trade, something human got lost. Back then, childhood wasn't managed by apps or constant adult supervision. You left the house in the morning, came home covered in dirt, and nobody worried about you in between. You learned independence the hard way, through trial, error, and natural consequences. We built forts deep in the woods. We rode our bikes without helmets down hills that were probably steeper than we remember. We'd just show up and knock on a friend's door without texting first, fully accepting the possibility they weren't home. If we got lost, we had to find our way back using landmarks, street signs, and gut instinct, not a blue dot on a phone screen. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. You made your own decisions. You faced the consequences, and you figured things out on your own. There was no participation trophy just for existing. You either earned it or you didn't. And that made winning and losing actually mean something. The lessons we learned didn't come from tutorials or educational apps. They came from raw experience and failure. From the kid down the street who showed you how to fix a slipped bike chain, or the older cousin who taught you how to climb a tree. Knowledge was passed down through demonstration and practice, not downloaded in bite-sized clips. Today, it feels like kids are raised in padded rooms, not physically, but digitally. We've designed their world so most of the small risks and frictions are removed. We tell them they're special, but we rob them of the chance to prove it to themselves. We track their movements, monitor their interactions, and then wonder why they're anxious. How could they feel anything else if they've been taught from day one that the world is a threat and independence is dangerous?
The slow magic of friction. We've forgotten the slow magic of how the old world used to work. I remember waiting 30 minutes for a single photo to load on dial-up. Somehow, that agonizing wait made the image matter more when it finally appeared. Or blowing dust out of a Nintendo cartridge like it was a sacred ritual before you could play. Or spending Friday nights wandering slowly up and down the aisles at Blockbuster, trying to agree on a movie before someone else grabbed the last copy. There was something precious about scarcity. When you could only afford 1 or 2 CDs a month, you listened to those albums until you knew every lyric, every riff, every hidden track. You didn't just skip through songs looking for a quick hit of dopamine. You let the album tell its story from beginning to end. Music became part of who you were because you invested time in it. Remember getting lost on a road trip and having to pull over to consult a massive, unwieldy paper map that never folded back the right way? Or calling a friend's house and talking to their parents first, navigating that awkward small talk before you could even get to your actual friend? Or writing down driving directions on a scrap of paper before heading somewhere new, just hoping you copied the turns correctly? Those moments weren't efficient, but they were alive. They made us patient, creative, and grateful. They taught us a basic truth. Not everything worth having comes easily or instantly. Now, if a video buffers for more than 2 seconds, we sigh like the world is ending. We refresh our feeds compulsively, searching for something new even when we just checked the same app 30 seconds ago. We have access to almost all human knowledge in our pockets, yet we're somehow more impatient and less genuinely curious than ever. Technology has made life a lot easier, but it hasn't always made it better. When everything is instant, nothing feels earned. When every question can be answered immediately by a search engine, we stop sitting with mystery. When every moment of boredom is filled with content, we never learn what our own minds might create in the silence. The cost of always being connected. There's an exhaustion that comes with modern life that's hard to name. It's not the tiredness from a hard day's work. It's more like information fatigue, an attention deficit, a deep soul weariness. We are connected to everyone and everything 24 hours a day. And somehow, that constant connection makes us feel more isolated than ever. We know way too much about everyone else. We spend hours looking at curated highlight reels of lives that look better than ours. We're invited to have loud opinions on everything, from global politics to a stranger's personal choices. The world's problems pile up in our notifications, each one demanding our emotional energy,
our outrage, our engagement. Underneath all that noise runs a low-frequency hum of inadequacy, a nagging sense that we should be doing more, being more, achieving more, because everyone else on the screen seems to be. At least, that's what their posts suggest.
We've confused being busy with being fulfilled, being connected with being truly known, and consuming content with actually living a life. And then we wonder why, with all this connection, information, and convenience, we still feel so empty inside. The peace that comes from stepping back. Some days I want to log off from modern life completely. No phone, no scrolling, no noise. Just sit outside with a cup of coffee. When I do that, something incredible happens. My brain finally quiets down. I remember what it feels like to think my own thoughts again, without the whole world shouting for my attention every 2 seconds. The peace you're looking for doesn't come from upgrading your devices or buying the latest gadget. It comes from unplugging, from getting dirt under your fingernails, feeling sunlight on your face, and rediscovering the simple beauty of doing exactly one thing at a time. The first few minutes of disconnecting are going to feel uncomfortable, almost panicky. Your hand will reach for your phone out of pure habit. You'll feel like you're missing something important. But if you can push through that initial discomfort, something shifts. Colors seem a little brighter. Sounds become clearer. You start to notice the way light moves through the leaves, the pattern of the clouds, the feeling of the wind on your skin. You remember you don't need to document every moment to prove it happened. A beautiful sunset doesn't need a perfect photo and clever caption to be meaningful. Sometimes, the best experiences are the ones you keep entirely for yourself. Grow something in the backyard. Touch the earth. Fix something broken with your hands. Let boredom make you curious again. Cook a meal from scratch. Read a chapter of a book without checking your phone. Have a conversation where you are fully present, not half listening while composing your next response. Because under all that digital static, there's still a version of you that knows exactly how to be human. That version is waiting beneath the notifications, the algorithms, the endless scroll. It remembers what it feels like to be engaged with the physical world, to feel time stretch instead of blur, and to experience the satisfaction of making something instead of just consuming what others have made. Coming home to ourselves. Maybe the real problem isn't that the world changed too much. Maybe it's that we forgot we can choose how much of it we let in. We can still live slower. We can still be intentional. We can still find joy in imperfection. You don't have to go off-grid or move to a remote farm to reclaim your peace. You just have to remember that simpler doesn't mean lesser. It means lighter. It means carrying less of other people's urgency and more of your own purpose. It means choosing presence over productivity sometimes, and remembering that rest is not laziness. Start small. Leave your phone in another room for an hour tonight. Take a walk without headphones. Tomorrow morning, sit with your coffee and do nothing else. No scrolling, no planning, just coffee and quiet.
Notice how those tiny acts of resistance against the modern pace feel like coming home to yourself.
The world will keep spinning at its frantic pace. Technology will keep advancing. The noise will only get louder. But you get to decide how much of it you absorb. You get to decide what kind of life you actually want to live, even inside modern constraints. So if you ever feel like you were born in the wrong timeline, maybe that's your cue to step out of the noise for a while. Turn off the screen. Go outside. Let your mind breathe. Maybe the world isn't wrong. Maybe it's just waiting for us to slow down enough for it to feel right again. And maybe those of us who remember a slower, simpler time aren't cursed with bitter nostalgia. Maybe we're blessed with perspective. Maybe we're the ones who can show others there's another way to live. Even now. Even here.
We can't go back to that old world, but we can carry its best lessons forward. Patience, presence, the value of earned experience, and the peace that comes from disconnecting. We can build lives that honor both what we've gained and what we've lost, embracing truly useful technology while refusing to be ruled by constant connection. We were born in the in-between. Maybe that's exactly where we needed to be.